Welcome to another edition of Anglican Unscripted, the Where's Waldo, Where's Kevin, Where's George edition. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger. And today's September 9th, 2015.
Okay, that's the big question. Where is Kevin and George? We want our ATV. I hear the music in the back. Din, 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 you know, people want their MTV, their ATV. We're sorry. We've been missing in action. A lot has been happening in our lives lately. Some people will call it spiritual attack. Some people will call it bureaucracy. Somebody even had their car hit by lightning. But we'll get into all that in a minute. Last we spoke, about a month ago, was probably August 16th or 15th, we did our last show on Anglican Unscripted 195. I was leaving our location in Thomaston, Connecticut. I went to my lawyer's office and signed away the house on that Friday, or that Monday, and I came down here to Milford with the family and rented a hotel room, knowing that in 2 days I would be moving into my oceanside condo that we've been saving up for all these years, and all would be well with the world. The heavens would open up, the angels would sing, and that's all it would take. But I got a call from the bank Friday before closing. Kevin, there's a problem with the zoning. Your condo is miszoned and we can't go through with the closing. It should only be a day or two delay. Okay, I can go with that. I understand. I'm a businessman. I want my zoning right. And we are now September. What is it? Did we say 10th, 9th? 9th. We're going 9th. On week 4 at the wonderful Motel 6 in Milford, Connecticut. Now, people are like, Motel 6. Oh my gosh, the cockroaches. This isn't not that type of Motel 6. This is a brand new Motel 6, which used to be a Hilton that was bought by Motel 6. It's a nice accommodations. Look at the nice paintings on the back of the beds there. It has a flat screen TV.
Has the maid been by this morning?
No, obviously I've not let the maid in. I've got recording to do. I'm running a business here, George. I can't just let people interrupt. Which Mrs. Carlson wants the bathroom cleaned every day now. She thinks that's a priority, and that's going to have to happen at the condo. So she's used to the hotel life in that respect. But 4 of us in this hotel room have released what I call the Bickersons. There's little things that set us off that normally you would just slide on by, and we've been sniping and griping at each other, just as a lovely Christian family should in such close quarters. Yeah, we're way too close and used to this Western lifestyle. But enough about me, George. Last we were speaking, we were talking about your mom who was going in for surgery. She was having spinal surgery, or was she having a surgery on her esophagus? I forget which one it was.
Well, she has to have both.
Okay.
My mother has had the first of a series of surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
She's been very ill, in and out of hospitals and nursing homes. She's begun a course of chemotherapy, mm-hmm. and my wife Susan has stepped in wonderfully to be her personal caregiver and sit with her for the 8 hours that she has to have these intravenous IV drips. And it takes a great deal out of people emotionally and physically to go through all this. So we've spiritually, we're at peace. We know God is in charge. We understand that everything is in his hands. And then the little things happen, little things that are really of no major consequence, but they can put me over the edge. I believe that my mother will be in paradise, and that God is protecting her. But then she loses her false teeth in the nursing home, and I go bananas. It's just fun. In other words, Satan is a lion seeking to devour us, prowling around, trying to trip us up, and he's doing a great job tripping me up.
He has a lot of material to work with, yes.
But at the same time, yeah, as all these terrible, emotionally difficult things are happening, God is providing in ways that I couldn't have anticipated.
Sure.
Kevin, I was on TV on Sunday.
In
Now,
handcuffs.
usually, you're right. Usually, when an Episcopal priest is on TV, it's because he's in handcuffs after the police find something on his computer he shouldn't have. Well, this is the Fox affiliate, Fox 13 down in Tampa, came up to our church and broadcast, recorded some of our worship services with that we do with animals, for instance, and had a 3-minute news segment about it, our worship. We've been profiled in the local CBS affiliate, and we've been in the local newspaper. These are fantastic, wonderful things. God is just doing great things in our little church here in Hooterville. And, you know, well, I say Hooterville because on my way to the church from my home, I pass more cows than people.
Sure. Well, you were mentioning animals during worship. I think you want to clarify that and say that you do have a blessing of the animals.
Well, you know, it started theoretically. It started because we have this is I'm in Redneck, Florida. Okay, this is. When we have people driving around in pickup trucks with big Confederate flags flying out the back, you know, that's their response to them uppity Northerners trying to tell them outside agitators what to do.
You carpetbaggers stay home.
But we live in a mixed agricultural / retirement area, and so we have had an existing ministry to people with farm animals, and we've sort of adopted that mindset to pets, and it's just taken off. So that we have a worship service where people, they don't bring their cows or horses or sheep, but they do bring their dogs. And see, Kevin, when you move to Florida and turn 55, you're given a small white dog once you cross the state line, and those small white dogs make up a good part of the 5 p.m. service on Sundays.
I'm staying in a pet-friendly motel because we have a dog, and all the people from Florida that are still up here in transition, their little terriers come right outside and they sniff under the door our dog and they yap, and our dog doesn't like yapping. So yeah, it's something else, huh? So that's been our lives. So I mentioned that a car got hit by lightning. It was not my car or Jill's, but you bought a car for your daughter, and she must have been out partying or something because God had judgment upon your 4 wheels.
No, she was not. The car was parked in the church parking lot.
Okay.
It blew. The lightning strike blew out. We had to get new phone modems. We have a big giant sign, and we had to order some parts from China to fix the LED sign. And the 2 of the windows blew out, and the electrical system got fried by the shock wave blew out the windows, and the electricity
At the church.
The shock wave blew out the windows of the car.
Okay, yeah.
And the electrical shock hit the ground because, you know, in Florida when you park on grass, that means you're about that deep in water. Fried the electrics, and I've been fighting with USAA Insurance Company. They said, well, you know, cars don't get hit by lightning. Yes, they do. Look at this one. So, you know, it's not a big deal in the great scheme of things, but it puts my teeth on edge having to deal with insurance companies just like you've had to.
Yeah. I got flood insurance that doesn't exist yet, so yeah, we're working on our little problems. So we've told you this 8-minute and 21-second story because we do need you to pray for us. If the show is not regular, it's because we didn't have our fiber, or our schedules conflict, or there's spiritual attack. And we would love for people to pray for us and help us discern what's going on, and just pray for our families as we try to bring you an entertaining show that's newsworthy, that encourages the church in growth, and talks about bad bishops. Oh, that's this week's episode. We have 3 bad bishops to talk about. We're going to fit as many into...
And not one of them is Charles Bennison.
Yes. We're going to... we're at the 9-minute mark, so we use the next 10 minutes to talk about as many bad bishops as we can, not going beyond the number 3. And you were telling me the story that came out yesterday about a bad bishop in England who's living in a house provided by Prince Charles, who is going down, and there may be a cover-up from a previous archbishop. Let's sprinkle that in people's ears right now. What's going on, George?
Well, Kevin, next time you have Peter Old on, you need to ask him, will he too have a Grace and Favor home provided by Prince Charles?
It's part of the retirement package, I assure you.
Well, Peter Ball, former Bishop of Gloucester,
Yeah.
on yesterday, on the 8th of September, pled guilty to abusing young men, child abuse, sexual abuse. Now, there's a whole lot of ramifications, and this has been all over the British press because it involves a well-connected bishop who lives in a home provided free of charge by Prince Charles. And as not every priest gets one of those.
It also happens to be the date of Queen Elizabeth has just become the longest-serving monarch in British history, and we do want to congratulate her on that. But
Well,
her
the story about Bishop Ball
yeah.
has wiped out a lot of the other coverage because here's the basic facts. 92, Bishop Ball was accused of molesting young boys. Bishop Ball is one of these. He's a celibate Anglo-Catholic, a rather spiky individual. Had been a monk for a number of years, and he was very charismatic, very popular in the diocese. And he would invite young men who were interested in the monastic life or the priesthood to come and stay at his home for the weekend. And some of these young men he abused. And it wasn't just a casual Trevor Huddleston, who was another celibate Anglo-Catholic priest, was accused of child abuse because he liked to squeeze young boys on the knees and things. We're not talking about that. We're talking about sexual molestation and then swearing these boys to silence, that God, didn't think what they were doing was bad, but if he told anybody he'd go to hell. That sort of awfulness.
Right, yeah, yes.
So 93, the police are involved, and Bishop Ball at first denies everything. Then he agrees to admit to a caution where the police say, don't do it again. He resigns as bishop, and that's the end of it. Now, George Carey, who was the Archbishop of Canterbury at the time, went to the head of the Crown Prosecution Service, the chief prosecutor in England, and said, look, I want closure. Charge him. In other words, if you investigate him and find out more stuff, I want you to do it now, not just have this come out in drips and drabs. Either clear him, jail him, or let things stand. And the Crown Prosecution Service in 93 said, no, this is it. Bishop Ball's free to go. He's admitted his guilt.
Hold on.
Well,
Did Carey get that on paper?
Did Carey get what?
Get that on paper? Was it signed?
No. No, this was this is how things are done in England. Nothing is signed.
Okay.
It was a phone call on one Sunday afternoon, I would think.
I think so.
Well, 20 years go by, and the police reinvestigate after, there's been a sea change in attitudes towards child sexual abuse in the wake of the Catholic clergy scandals. And now it's no, one pitch and you're out. No, there's no tolerance.
No.
There's no, there used to be, but there isn't.
No.
And it was reinvestigated, and the police found additional multiple crimes of this nature, of molesting boys as young as 13. And there was a secret hearing earlier this year where George Carey was asked to testify, and he testified as to the verbal agreement that not to charge Bishop Ball with anything else and to leave him alone. And the judge threw it out because it was an oral agreement, it's not binding.
Right.
And so Bishop Ball is now 81 years old. He's facing real jail time. And
the church is embarrassed again, and the press gets to say, look, cover up. And the connection to the throne is an interesting one. I know people watching are like, well, did Prince Charles do a naked prayer circle? What's going on here? So
I don't know. And but one of the side little issues is at 93, when all this was hammered out the first time, the evangelicals in the Church of England publicly went bananas. Tony Higdon, who was an evangelical leader in General Synod, wrote an article in one of the church newspapers saying, look, because this guy's an Anglo-Catholic and he's been accused of and found and admitted to be fooling around with boys in his bed, he's getting off lightly.
Okay.
Now, one of the things we forget now that we're a minority is that evangelicals and Anglo-Catholics have a long history of trying to destroy each other, especially
Yes.
in the Church of
The
England.
Church of England is a prime example. Okay,
And here's one of those episodes.
we're at 14 minutes. Let's move on to our next bishop. Those of you who have been watching Anglican Unscripted this spring and last fall know about Bishop Cook from Massachusetts. She was involved in a DUI where she killed a cyclist. And how did a bishop get a DUI? There's a lot into the story. What we have now is she has made a deal with the prosecution. She's said, yes, I'm guilty. She's taking a plea deal, which will give her a 20-year prison sentence, which is suspended to 10 years. Who knows how long she'll actually serve. But for the next 15 years, she's either in prison or on probation. We'll have to see what happens. I want to
If it holds true to form, a 10-year prison sentence in Maryland means 3 to 5 years of actual jail time and the rest probation, if she keeps her nose clean.
My point is, when this tragic event actually happened, it was everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. The liberal blogs, the conservative blogs, the Boston papers, the Boston TV stations. It hit New York. It was a big story. Now that the sentence has come out, there's whispers. Nobody really cares anymore, or it's just
two things I think had influence. One, Marilyn Crosby, the Baltimore City District Attorney, really played this up, held press conferences, and just, this was going to be the big trial. And then the Freddie Gray, you remember the man who was killed, who died in the back of a police van? That has sort of come in and sucked all the press oxygen out of the story. So the district attorney, in essence, is bailing on this case. She's no longer interested in making her name on Bishop Cook. She's interested in making her name on the Freddie Gray story. So that's why in some respects, the movement of politics has been favorable to Bishop Cook, where they didn't go to trial and have a full-blown out situation.
Yeah, I think it was very favorable. My question is, what is the liability now of the diocese and the national church? We learned from people who were there that she was intoxicated at her consecration dinner. We learned that the presiding bishop, Catherine Jefferts Schori, was informed of this at the consecration dinner. And so there was knowledge of that she was off the wagon at certain points, even after her rehabilitation and becoming a bishop. How does this make the diocese or the national church liable?
Financially, by going to a plea deal and not going through and having all of these things out. In other words, was she coming from a church function? Was she using a church-owned cell phone when she was texting when she hit this man and killed him? Was she texting church business? All of those things have not been played out in the public arena. So when the wrongful death civil trial comes, a lot of the nails that the plaintiff's attorney would have to nail the Diocese of Maryland for tens of millions of dollars aren't there yet. Now, because she is a bishop, and all from what we've learned, she was engaged in some sort of semi-official function, the diocese is going to be on the hook as having the deep pockets. Question is, presiding Bishop Jefferts Schori was told she was drunk at her consecration dinner, and Gene Sutton, the Bishop of Maryland, was worried. But the question you have to ask is, how do they know if someone is really drunk? Did they take a blood alcohol test? Are
they
trained alcohol counselors? I mean, you go to a social event and somebody's acting like a jackass. How do you know that's just not their personality? This is a stranger to them.
This is who I am. Sorry.
So the liability to individuals and to the national church, because look, if presiding Bishop Catherine Jefferts Schori couldn't get rid of Charles Bennison, how in God's name could she have disciplined Heather Cook on the suspicion that she was bombed at her consecration dinner?
Agreed.
That connection really isn't there, but the connection to the diocese. Now, they're still going to go after the national church because they're deep pockets. And if you get a Baltimore City jury
or a
who wants to give them $20 million and $10 million of the national church and 10 to the diocese and $1.50 from Heather Cook in prison, that's how they'll do it.
Oh, they would be wise to settle out of court and just make it go away. Now, we're talking about we got 2 minutes here. And I'm going to use two big seminary words. I've never been to seminary. They would never let me in, rightfully so. The biggest one is conciliation versus reconciliation. And there's been news about Bishop Bruno and what's happening with St. James, that they've been ordered to participate in conciliation. And so people are thinking, oh my gosh, they have to meet together, hug, do a little kumbaya song, and be reconciled. And then the National Church will be happy, and all this will go away, and the charges against Bruno shall disappear. And this isn't reconciliation, as people are thinking. It's called conciliation. What's the difference, George?
As you say, Kevin, reconciliation is a two-way street where both sides need to find a common ground, a meeting place. Vast majority of people following the St. James Newport Beach case assume that the National Church has called for reconciliation. They have not. They have called for conciliation. That is where one party seeks to conciliate the other. In other words, John Bruno has to conciliate those who filed a petition against him. Do you remember the case of the Springfield 7 or the Secaucus 7 or the Fort Worth 11?
Dan Martin's in the gang.
Dan Martin's, Peter Beckwith, the whole conservative group. Well, they had to go into a conciliation process with those bishops who have accused them of each other and sang campfire songs and found common ground. It meant Dan Martins and company had to basically make a statement of regret or amends that was reasonable and acceptable to those filing the complaint. That's what's happening in the John Bruno case. Bruno's got less than a year to go, and he may not want to play ball, but really this is a tremendous slap in his face. He has been publicly found to be the bad guy.
Well, he's named Bruno, but whatever. Okay, so on to next week's show. I hope that the next time I record, you're going to see Ocean behind me, or I'll just put a picture of Ocean up and lie. George, have a great week, and we will catch you guys soon. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger, and you've been watching episode 196 of Anglican Unscripted. I'll do what you tell me to do.
Finally, we have an agreement here. I speak, you listen. You know, it's a Godfather situation.
I'm in a chair that doesn't swivel.
That's good.
Or have it's 4 feet planted squarely on the ground. I can't move it.
That's good. That's good. All right. First time back for many, many months. 3, 2, 1. Where's the camera? This is the worst part of being in a hotel. I don't have my camera. I don't have my lights. And I look green. I can't help it. 3, 2, 1.